what's up guys, welcome back to the channel, and I have a fun one for you today, and I really mean it. This is a super fun shoe. Guys, today we are looking at the ADIDAS PRIME X3 STRUNG. Let's get into it. Thanks for sticking through that intro, guys. Now look, I wasn't joking. The Adidas Prime X3 Strung is a super fun shoe. I really enjoyed the Prime X2 Strung last year, but there were a few problems, which I was able to overlook because the shoe was so fun. And I'm happy to say that some of those problems have been eliminated with the Prime X3 Strung. But just like last year with the Prime X2 Strung, this is the type of fun that you have to pay to play, and more than a normal running shoe. Guys, the Adidas Prime X3 Strung will cost you $300. So yeah, it's a little expensive. But we're not going to dwell too much on it, because I think that price is going to rule out a lot of people, those, not wanting to pay $300 for a shoe. But we'll also talk about, is it worth it? And the answer is a definite maybe. And I say maybe because, well, there are other options out there that you're going to get the same performance out of. But is it going to look like this? Is it going to feel like this? Probably not. Okay, it is time to get right into it, and we will start with the stack, because you can see that is just a mammoth stack. We have 50 in the heel, 43 in the forefoot for a 7mm drop. That's right, 50mm in the heel. There is a lot of foam underfoot. And yes, like some other big shoes, think the Vomero Premium, I am having a difficult time walking through doorways in this shoe. Now, being such a big shoe, you might think that it's heavy. Well, you know what, you'd be right. It is a heavy shoe when compared with some of the competitors, but Adidas is going in the right direction. And this year with the Prime X3 Strung, a US men's size 9 would tip the scale at 10.1 ounces or 286 grams. However, in my size, a US men's size 13, it'll tip the scale at 12.5 ounces or 353 grams. And yes, that is heavy. And I will tell you right off the bat that the shoe does not run or ride as heavy as it sounds. When I say that they are going in the right direction this year, you remember last year with the Prime X2 Strung. In my size, this tips the scale at 393 grams. So the Prime X3 Strung has lost 40 grams in weight over the Prime X2 Strung. Right. But let's get started at the top and we'll work our way down. And I think by starting at the top, I think we'll just talk about the upper first, because this is the story. This is the strung upper. And Adidas has totally redesigned the strung upper in the Prime X3 Strung. It just fits a little better. And you know what? Let's just take a step back and talk about how good this shoe looks. I have always loved how the strung upper looks, but in this colorway, it just pops. Like, this is one of those shoes that I enjoy looking down and seeing them on my feet. I just think it is so sharp in this kind of turquoise colorway. Anyway, part of the upper, well, hold on, let me just back up and say that the Adidas Prime X3 Strung does fit true to size. I am wearing my normal US men's size 13. That is the same size that I wear in all other Adidas shoes. For me at least, the upper has seen an improvement and it does fit my foot better. Now, if I hold that up for you, you can see we do have quite a wide toe box right here. Now, it does get quite narrow in the midfoot, but this toe box is where it's at. And in every run, my feet felt like they were splayed out enough. I had plenty of room. And I'm going to say that, unless you have abnormally wide feet, if you just have wide feet, I think the Prime X3 Strung is going to be for you. Now, I don't have wide feet. My feet are pretty narrow. And usually when I run in shoes that favor a wider footed runner, I have problems. I find I get a little bunching on the top, when I cinch down the laces. And you know what? Let me just show you on the Prime X2 Strung. If I hold that up, you can see where it was laced. And you can see there is just a little bit of bunching right here in the middle. I didn't have that so much in the Prime X3 Strung, which tells me that the overall volume may be a bit lower, or if it's not lower, they have just made it wider, so it just fits overall a little better. Another thing, as far as the fit goes in the Prime X3 Strung, on the Prime X2 Strung, I was getting continual hot spots right on these lace loops. And I found that I had to take the laces out and kind of miss the lace loops that were giving me hot spots. And so on any day when I would run in the Prime X2 Strung, I was always missing out at least 2 lace loops, because they would just bug me for the entire run and they'd give me hot spots and it would start to hurt. I'd stop halfway through my run and unlace it, relace it. I haven't had to do that once in the Prime X3 Strung, so Adidas has definitely fixed that. Now, this strung upper is a one-piece strung upper. You can see there is no apparent padding like all the way around, but there is heel padding right here in the back. And the difference between the Prime X2 and the Prime X3 Strung is that the padding has been moved back a little more. In the Prime X2 Strung, it came down just a little further forward, and here in the Prime X3 Strung, it's been moved back, and it almost comes right to the back of the heel here. So I did feel that my heel was locked in better in the Prime X3 Strung than the Prime X2 X2 Strung. The heel counter is the same on the Prime X3 as it was on the Prime X2. It's, well, there's nothing there. It's very loosey-goosey, which is totally to be expected because even though this is a heavy shoe, it is part of the ADIDAS line and Adidas wants to save as much weight as possible. So it's not surprising to see that we have a loose heel counter. Now, if you do experience heel slip in shoes, unfortunately, the Prime X3 Strung does not have that extra lace loop, so you won't be able to do the heel lock lacing method. But for what it's worth, I didn't experience any heel slip. I did get a good lockdown for every run that I've taken this shoe out on. As far as overlays go, there really aren't that many. This is basically a race day shoe. I mean, it's not a race day shoe, but it's built like it's made for race day. This is more like a real super trainer. But with the 3-stripe logo, it's just sublimated onto the strung upper. The strung upper is just a little less breathable coming around the toe bumper. And then we've just got a couple of less breathable parts of the strung upper around the heel, just adding a little bit of structure and strength. But basically, Adidas is strengthening the strung upper by eliminating the holes. So we have a lot of holes here in the toe box where it's going to just breathe nicely. Then it gets a little denser coming along the eyelet chain. Now, this is a one-piece strung upper, so there isn't going to be a tongue. There's no tongue padding, but I didn't experience any issues with that. As long as you size the shoe appropriately, so your foot kind of fits into it like a sock, you really don't have to cinch the laces down too much. Like the shoe fits your foot, and then you just add a little bit of additional tightening by tightening the laces. It's actually a really good design and works incredibly well if the shoe fits right. So let's come down to the midsole, because this, I say this is where the magic happens. There is a lot of magic going on here because Adidas is using 3 layers of Lightstrike Pro, and they're pretty easy to see, right? We have this top layer, we have this big chunk here in the middle in the forefoot, and then we have a bottom layer. Now, this big chunk in the forefoot is separating 2 stiffening agents. We have a carbon fiber plate on the top, and you can kind of see it peeking out here, and then it comes all the way to the back, and you can see it right there on the back. And then beneath on my colorway, this yellow Lightstrike Pro, we have the carbon fiber energy rods 2.0. And with the plate and the rods, it just makes for a very, very, like, I think I can bend that at all. Like, I'm putting so much pressure on it right now that I'm worried I'm just gonna snap it. You can see that this is a very, very stiff shoe. And what does that mean when you load it? It means it feels pretty snappy. Now, I didn't get this from Adidas, but I did see on another site that Adidas is using the same Lightstrike Pro that they use in the Adios Pro 4 for this top layer and this middle layer. And then this lower layer is the same Lightstrike Pro that they use in the Adios Pro 3. So it's gonna be just a little denser. So the same story that a lot of brands use, using just a slightly stiffer foam here on the bottom just to make it a little more stable and a little more resilient. Coming down to the outsole rubber, yeah, we're using light traction, and then we got a little bit of Continental rubber up here on the toe just for the toe off. I didn't experience any grip issues in the Prime X3 Strung, but you know what? I don't think I ran in the rain or the wet at all in this shoe. But I doubt you're going to have too much issue. I mean, Continental rubber, light traction, it's been used a lot on other shoes and it stands up pretty well. Something I did notice, and by holding it up like this, you're going to see it immediately, is how wide this forefoot area is here compared to the heel. Like this heel on this giant shoe just seems very dainty, doesn't it? And this heel is mammoth. So obviously we are going to have a very stable toe-off experience when we're rolling through and toeing off of here. But if you are a heel striker, maybe you might find a little bit of instability. Now, I didn't run into any problems in the Prime X3 Strung, except when I stepped on something that wasn't absolutely stable. So this is a road shoe all day long. I would never recommend that you take this off-road in any way. You know how a lot of road shoes can work on some easy trails. I wouldn't be taking this shoe off on any shell paths or anywhere with any divots, because I did notice that when I did that, and I wasn't running fast, so I was heel striking, my heel did become just a little bit wobbly. And when you are 50 millimeters above the ground, when it gets a little unstable, it starts to feel like, I don't know, just a bit scary. If you are just running on the road, you are never going to come across that kind of situation that makes the heel just a little loose. So for most of my runs, I didn't experience any issues that made me think that I was going to roll off the top of the shoe. Put this shoe in a straight line and run fast and you'll be fine. Now, as far as the ride goes, and I think you can probably tell how this shoe rides by looking at it, it is going to be very bouncy. And you know what? Just saying very bouncy really doesn't say enough, because it is supremely bouncy and it is an extremely fun shoe to run in. That was the same reason I like the Prime X2 Strung last year, even though I had those hot spots if I didn't lace it or miss 2 of the 6 lace holes. Right? The fun factor is up here, and you don't get that with a lot of shoes. The Prime X3 Strung takes that fun factor, it lowers the weight, and it increases the comfort. And I just really like the ride. Now look, probably not going to take this shoe out on your easy runs. This is a shoe that you are going to want to run fast in, but probably not run too fast. Do you know what I mean? Probably wouldn't take this shoe out on intervals, like if I'm doing 400s, 800s, but for tempo runs, like if I'm going to be running at marathon pace, yeah, the Prime X3 Strung is going to perform beautifully. Obviously with so much cushioning, with this 43 in the forefoot, 50 in the heel, it's going to be soft, it's going to be protective. And with the shoe this stiff, like when you load it, when you are running at a tempo pace and you are loading these two plates or the one plate and the energy rods, it just bounces you forward and it gives you that feeling that we're looking for when we're running in a super shoe, or in this case a super trainer. Now, could you use this for race day? Yeah, you definitely could. I think you would run, let's say, a marathon, right? Let's just take the marathon, for example. I think you could run a marathon in the Prime X3 Strung and be totally happy. But here's the thing, the shoe is still a bit heavy. And even though it is designed beautifully, now Adidas has moved the rocker just back a little bit. They've made this more steep. So when you are running and you're toeing off, the shoe kind of makes you turn over quicker, at least compared with the Prime X2 Strung. And that is how they get around the weight. That is how they make the shoe feel kind of nimble. Even though in my size, this shoe weighs 353 grams. So yeah, I think you could run a marathon in this shoe. The only question I would ask is, why would you? Because for $300, this costs more than the Adidas Pro 4, and the Adidas Pro 4 is going to be much lighter. Now, it's not going to be as like springy. It's not going to be as soft, maybe not as protective. If you are going for time, you know, maybe the Adidas Pro 4 is going to be a better option for you. But saying that, I think I would still like to run a marathon in the Prime X3 Strung just to see how it goes. It is so protective. I think I would probably end the race feeling like I hadn't run at all. You know, that's a total exaggeration, but I hope you know what I mean. This shoe takes that idea that super shoes gave us, I don't know, back in 2017, how you can run harder for longer without the fatigue. And that's how I feel when I run in the Prime X3 Strung. It's almost like a secret weapon. Now, honestly, when it comes down to it, I don't think I am running any faster in the Prime X3 Strung than I am running in any other like really good super trainer. You know, think about the New Balance SC Elite, even the Nike Zoom Fly. You know, I think you're going to be able to train at fast paces and have a protective experience in those other shoes, but it's still not going to feel like the Adidas Prime X3 Strung. The ride itself is just efficient, fun, and it is different from the competition, even if it's not necessarily faster. And by saying that, that's really just my experience, which is why you're watching this video, I guess. Like, you want to know what I think about this shoe. So I suppose the question that you could be asking yourself is, you know, do I need the Prime X3 Strung? And the answer is no, right? Obviously, this is an extreme shoe. This is a perfect example of beautifully executed excess. But you shouldn't be asking yourself, is the Prime X3 Strung something that I need? No, you should be asking yourself, is the Prime X3 Strung something that I want? And I think for a lot of you, the answer is going to be yes. And of course, $300 is not going to make it attractive to a lot of people. But if that $300 price point doesn't really bother you, I really think you're in for a treat with the Prime X3 Strung. I guess as a shoe reviewer, this is the type of shoe that I am most happy to get my hands on, because the Prime X2 Strung was definitely my most fun shoe of last year. Or was it the year before? I think it was the year before. I keep saying last year, but yeah, I think it was probably 2023. And I know that it's going to be the same way for me with the Prime X3 Strung. I'm just going to want to have fun in this shoe all the time. So guys, now I want to hear from you. Do you think you'll be picking up a pair of the new Adidas Prime X3 Strung? Definitely drop a comment and let me know. But for now, it's Matt B. This has been my review of the Prime X3 Strung. It seems like I've said the name just 1,000 times today. Be kind, be happy, run well. See you in a couple of days.